acknowledge God in all our ways, God is telling, I will send the rain in the due time. I will do things which are not in your control. All God is asking us is, just acknowledge me in all your ways. Just trust in me. Just acknowledge me in all your ways. If you go out and do your work, acknowledge me in that. So how it put it, make the difference is, when we are away from God, we believe our hands will bring our fruit. We believe, I did this, so I will achieve this. I did this, so I will earn this. But when we come to Christ, it's all not different. We say, I did this, but I acknowledge God, so He will bless it, and He will bring the bountiful blessing for me. So what I'm trying to say is, in Christ, we say, God, you gave me these hands to do my work. I do it with the best ability. But I believe, I acknowledge that you will bless it, and you will bring the blessing out of it. So that is what God is telling. In Christian life, He's telling, it's a constant acknowledgement that God is in control. In other words, it's a constant acknowledgement of telling God, it's not in my control. Just like we saw some time back, apart from Him, you can do nothing.
Yeah.
Apart from God, we can do nothing. So that's what we're telling God. God, I know I have this talent, but I know this talent will bring me fruits only if I acknowledge you and you bless it. So that's what I'm telling. So that's what I wanted to share from this verse. In all your ways, acknowledge Him. It's just a shift in the way we see things. The shift in the ways we acknowledge God every day. Even if whatever you plan for each day, just tell God, God, I will do it in honor of you. I will do it for your glory. I'll do it for your honor. Whatever minimum it may look, whatever minimal it may look, in everything we tell, God, I acknowledge you, so that you would bless the works of my hand. So that's what I quickly wanted to say. So basically we're telling God, I want you to be my pilot. Not the co-pilot or whatever. I want you to be the pilot. Yeah. Whatever I do, I believe you're going to bring the increase. I may water, I may sow, but the increase comes from the Lord. So that is what I want to share. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, meaning whatever we do, we believe that God will send the rain at the right time. It's talking about rain. Rain by itself is not good. Only when the rain comes in the right time, it is good. It's no use if it's going to rain during the harvest time. The rain has to come. If you ask a farmer, he'll tell, I would like the rain to be here, here, and here. I do not want the rain to come at this time. Because rain is good only if it happens at the right season. And this verse, God is telling us, I will give you the former rain and the latter rain. No use having only the former rain if the latter rain is not going to happen, or vice versa. So God is telling, I will send the rain at the right time when you acknowledge me in all your ways. So that is a promise God is giving us. Your Christian life is a life where my own eyes will look upon every day. Every walk, I will be watching over you. I will be looking over you. I will be seeing over you. And when you acknowledge me in all your ways, I will send the rain at the right time. The difference is, in Egypt, all you got is just vegetables. But in Canaan, it talks about wine, it talks about oil, it talks about fodder for the animals, so that you are the fat of the land. You have the best of the best. God is telling you, I'll give you much more than a meal. All you're trying to worry, you had things in your control in Egypt, all you got is just vegetables. Give the control to me, and I will send the rain at the right time, so that you'll have a bountiful harvest. Amen. So that takes me to the final part of what I wanted to share today. The final part is, and He shall direct your paths. God is telling, when you trust in me, when you stop leaning on your own understanding, when you acknowledge me in all your ways, I will direct your paths. Many times in our life, one wrong step, we could lose everything we work for. Just one wrong step. So actually, I follow cricket. Actually, today is a big day in cricket because the Cricket World Cup is happening in England, and India lost in the semi-finals. We are the favorites. We are doing so well. We were lost to New Zealand today. So what I was trying to say is, this team was doing so good in the league games. When it came to the knockout stage, they just played a poor game only for 40 minutes, and they lost the tournament. Okay, so these guys, the last 1 month, they're playing so good, but 40 minutes of bad game, they lost the tournament. Why I say that is, sometimes in our life, we do everything right. You ask me, man, that's one wrong step. I made that one wrong choice. It wiped out my savings. I made that one wrong investment. I made that one wrong career move. It wiped it out. Okay, just that one. So that is where God is here is promising us. He will direct our paths so that we will not be making the wrong moves. Whatever we do in our life, when we acknowledge Him, He'll make sure He will direct your paths. Okay? It may look like you're going nowhere. In a natural realm, it may look like nothing. But in God's supernatural plan, it is so perfect. At the end of the day, when God makes you turn back and see, you'll be start praising God. God, so beautifully you led me. I was grumbling against you that day. I was crying. I was doing all those things, but it was so beautiful. You just closed that door and let me into this door. Okay, it was so beautiful. For all those years, you are closing every door for me, because after all those years, you had this beautiful door open for me. So what I'm trying to say is, when you acknowledge God in all your ways, He will direct your paths, so that He will take you to the right place at the right time. To show that, I'll just spend some time just to signify on this. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 11. It says, I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. Basically what Solomon is telling here is, the smartest man is not going to win. The strongest man is not going to win. All he's telling is, it's all time and chance. You'll be surprised to see a verse like this in the Bible. What is the Bible talking about chance? Is the Bible talking about probability? Is the Bible talking about luck? That's what this verse sounds. But many times, if you take your life, you see that there's this old movie song back in my mother tongue, which basically goes like, not every wise man is successful, and not every successful man is wise. Okay? That's the natural thing in life. You'll be thinking, man, how did this guy, he went to high school with me, I know him. How did this guy get here? Okay? So, probably if somebody sees me preaching, going, man, how did Isaac get to the pulpit? Okay? Okay. So, what is saying over here is, what Solomon is saying here is, victory is not to the best guy. Victory is not going to the strong man. It's all time and chance. But why would God put a verse like this in the Bible? Does it take God out of the equation? No. I'll take it to the next verse. That comes in Psalms 31, verse 14 and 15. But as for me, I trust in you, O Lord. I trust in you, meaning what we've been seeing all this evening. Trusting in the Lord, leaning not on our own understanding. Okay, in all our ways acknowledge Him. When we trust in Him, O Lord, I say, you are my God. My times are in your hand. We're talking about time and luck sometime back. But here when we trust in God, God says that time is in my hand. And time is in the hand of the Almighty God. When your time is in the hand of the supernatural God, when your time is in the hand of the God who created you, who has the full galaxies, everything under His control, there's nothing better that can happen for your life, because your time is in His hands. So today you might be worrying, I do not have the influence. You might be worrying, I do not have the resources. You might be worrying, I do not have the finances. You might be worrying, all my paths seems to be closed. I just want to share to you, your times are in God's hand. When you choose to believe in God, when you choose to trust in God, when you choose to acknowledge Him in all your ways, your times are in His hands. He will make sure, He will direct your path so that you will be taking every day the right path. It's almost like a maze that God is taking you towards your promised land. Yeah. And God is making sure every day you take a right path. Every day, because God is because as humans we are mortal, we are limited by time. But God is immortal. He's not limited by time. He can go to the future, He can go back also. He's not limited by time. God is away from time. God is apart from time. But He holds our times in His hands. And when you trust Him, He says, I will take your time. We need not need on luck. So in this way, when you go back to Ecclesiastes 9 and 11, it makes a lot of sense to you. You need not be worried what talent you have. You need not be worried what resources you have. You need not be worried what family background you had or what you see in the natural realm. You need not lean on that. You need not lean on your own understanding. Because one thing you know, and that is all you need to know, your times are in God's hand. He will make sure He will take you to His appointed time, in the right time at the right place. right place at the right time.
Amen.
So I believe for all of us over here, God has kept so many blessings along the way. He has kept so many blessings for us. In every stage of different stages of our life, He has kept so many blessings. I believe when we walk according to the theme what the church has this week, this month, when we trust in Him, when we acknowledge Him, when we do not lean on our own understanding, He will make sure, since He has your times in His hands, He will make sure you will go and inherit every blessing along the way. Every point of your life, not one blessing you will miss. Not one thing God has promised for you, you will miss in your life. Because He will direct your paths. He will take you, He will close doors, He'll open doors, the best doors with His wisdom. He's a supernatural God. He does things that we do not understand. But God, that's what, like I shared some time back, God is telling, even if you do not understand, don't worry, just trust in me. Because your times are in my hands. That will be just quick turn. That will be just this one person who I bring you into. That will be just a small idea I give you. That will transform you. That will take you right to the top. So whatever you do, God is telling, just acknowledge me. I will direct your paths. I will make sure everything that I have promised for you, everything that I have written for you, everything even before you are formed in a mother's womb, which I have planned for you, which has spoken over your life, I will make sure you will inherit every blessing in your life at the right time. Amen. That is what I want to share today. And I just wanted to go back, encourage that God has it all planned. Yeah. You just have to trust in Him, even though we do not see with the natural eyes. Just trust in Him. And I believe all of us here, in my hearing, we will inherit every good thing that God has planned for us. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor.